Today is a day that I will never remember, and not today, but I mean the date, November the 11th. And that's Remembrance Day back home, but I will always remember this day because on November the 10th of 2016, it was a little bit hard to sit down, and my labia/bum was a little bit tender. I didn't think anything of it, but then by the next day, which would be November the 11th of 2016, I could not sit. I was in excruciating pain, and from that point until 6 weeks from that date, I was bedridden in absolute agony and so stressed out that was I going to die? What was wrong with me? And it took 6 weeks for the doctors to find out what was wrong with me. Went through multiple tests and a surgery I didn't need, 2 drainages that were quite painful. Well, the first one wasn't, but the second one was extremely painful, and it even took me 2 months to be able to sit down, period. After that, I was able to sit down, but with some discomfort. It took a long time to heal. Anyway, so I thought it was kind of fortuitous that I do an update for my last Kshar Sutra treatment. I guess it wasn't really a treatment so much as the doctor removed the thread from my body. So this is a year from the day of this whole nightmare starting, and finally I feel like I'm seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. No pun intended. But not that I'm just finally seeing light at the end of the tunnel. Of course, I've been seeing it all along with getting my Kshar Sutra treatments, but it just really seems like what a difference a year can make, and things have come so full circle from this exact day last year, me starting this whole nightmare, to a full year later, to me finally feeling back to my regular self. So, with that long intro aside, this is my last, I suppose, Kshar Sutra update, because my next appointment with the doctor will be in, what's today? 2 or 3 days, and at that point he's just going to assess how the wound is healing, and to me it looks good, but I'm not a doctor. And then it will be off, it'll be time for my husband and I to go off home. The wound, to me, it looks really, really good. I remember when I had my drainage procedure where the doctor in Canada, the general surgeon that I had dealt with at the beginning of this whole nightmare, I remember when he drained my abscess by burning a hole through my body, just how raw and red, and just it looked like a beefy, infected red that tissue looked like. And it was interesting that doctor didn't recommend that I kind of do anything to keep that area clean except for to sit in warm tap water, and that's it. No, nothing in there, no sterilized water. He didn't recommend that I clean the area or anything, and the general surgeon's advice to me was that you could have a wound covered in poo, he said, and it will still heal. Well, I will tell you, thank God for Dr. Bapat. He explained to me what I needed to do to take care of my wound after the thread was removed. It's basically to take iodine, go up my bum, and clean the area twice a day, and then to take iodine on a cotton ball. That's what I would do with the cleaning of my anus. Iodine on a cotton ball, clean the area, and then take iodine on a cotton ball and kind of let it soak in there for a little bit, just a little bit of iodine, and then pack it into the wound. So I've been doing that. That's not painful at all. It was a bit of like a mental hurdle to get over, to be like, okay, now to pack this into an open wound. Okay, now to kind of clean out my bum. This is like the TMI channel, but if you're a fistula fighter, you know that. What did somebody say to me yesterday in one of the forums? They said, there's no TMI in our community, so fistula fighters, there's no TMI in this community. And the mental hurdle of having to take iodine on a cotton ball and clean out the wound from the other side, inside my anus, that it didn't hurt at all. It was just getting over the mental idea of taking my finger and having to clean an open wound myself. Anyway, that's gone well. He recommended that I do that twice a day, and I do that religiously. I keep the pack in there for 3 or 4 hours, and I do that religiously because After everything I've gone through, I will follow to the letter what that doctor tells me to do. Seems like he's the only guy throughout all of this and all the doctors I saw in Canada that makes any gosh darn sense. Anyway, so I've been doing that. That's fine. When I have the pack in, the iodine pack, I just tuck that into the wound and pack the wound on the outside. And then take more cotton and just kind of put that over so my underwear is not getting stained with iodine. It doesn't feel uncomfortable at all. We're still able to get out and about. In fact, today I found a camel and I hopped on that thing. 2 camels. I found 2 camels. So that's a testament to how amazing my butt's feeling, that I'm up, ready and willing to kind of find a camel and hop on top of that and go for a little camel ride. So that's great. I will be perfectly honest. My appointment with Dr. Bapat, the last one that I had, the day before that, there was stool locked into my fistula, and I was so upset. I was crying. I was just beside myself, because one of the worst things about this whole journey for me was having to deal with stool drainage. It was irritating. It was humiliating. It was debilitating at times because it was so painful. And so for it to be the day before my appointment with the doctor and to have stool locked into the area, and it was up there for all day. And we went out somewhere, when I came home, I noticed that it was still up there, which is unusual, because usually for me what would happen is the stool would be kind of up there, and as I went out and walked around and walked up and down stairs, it would kind of get broken up and work its way out. But this didn't happen that time. It stayed up there, and I had to get a Q-tip and for a good half hour pick it out. It was awful. I was sobbing. I was humiliated. It just felt like one last little kick in the teeth from this stupid fistula that I hate so much. So after that, I went to visit Dr. Bapat during my last appointment, where he removed the thread, and I kind of angsted, and he said, "Don't worry." He said, "I don't anticipate that there will be any more stool locking," he called it. And I'll be honest, after having leaked stool for, I don't know how many months it's been, but almost a year, and after it being so close to my year anniversary, I thought, okay, maybe I'll have to put up with this stool drainage for another few weeks or something, and then maybe things will stop. But I was skeptical of what he said. But I'll have to give it to the man again. Huge props. He was right. Because after the thread was removed, that was it. There was no more stool drainage from that day on. So that was Tuesday that happened. Today is Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So for 4 days, there has been absolutely no stool coming out of the area, no stool locking. I still clean up the way he recommended, just because, with water, after a BM. And that's just because I find it more comfortable, to be perfectly honest. I will probably incorporate that into my day-to-day life. I find it to be far cleaner than my usual North American ritual of using toilet paper. So I just make sure that the area is clean after a bowel movement. I follow the doctor's advice on keeping the area clean. The tissue, this is what I meant to come back to. When I got the abscess drained so long ago, months ago, by the general surgeon in Canada, and he gave me those, in my opinion, horrific aftercare instructions, which was really nothing much at all. The wound the skin around it was beefy red. The granulation tissue looked like it had turned into hypergranulation tissue, where it's all bumpy, and it was just so infected and so painful. And of course the doctor blamed that on me, and he said that I must have Crohn's disease, and that's why. And that doctor was wrong. He just, in my opinion, did not give proper advice on how to take care of the wound. So in following Dr. Bapat's advice, which is to make sure to pack the wound with iodine, keep the area clean, been doing that, and the flesh around where my fistula was, I suppose, because there is no hole anymore that I can see. It just looks very pink and very healthy. It's just really I can see it filling in the hole, and it looks great. It looks the way I wish that my skin had looked when I first had it drained way back in months ago in Canada. So I really don't have, I guess, too much to say other than that, which is funny because this is probably going to be a longer update. but there is no more stool draining out of my fistula. There's no more wind coming out of my fistula. TMI alert, I had my first real person fart yesterday, and it shocked me because I was like kind of talking to my husband and I felt it coming on. And for ever since I had my fistula drained, wind would just come out of the fistula. It would be a very, very rare thing for it to come out of my bum because, of course, there was my bum and then there was the fistula, so the wind would just come out of whichever was the easiest hole, and that was typically the fistula. So back then, when my fistula was like open and giving my life old hell, the only way I could have like a regular fart where it came out of my bum was if I crossed my legs. TMI, whatever, that's what this channel's all about. So anyway, I was excited, and maybe if somebody is a fistula fighter and they're watching my videos, this might excite them too, I'm not sure, but I had my first real big person fart yesterday, and I was so shocked I kind of went, my husband laughed at me because I was just standing there. I wasn't doing any special position like crossing my legs to try to make this wind come out of the proper hole, but it was a regular fart. So that excited me because that means my fistula's really, the skin is really, really grown in, closed up, growing in. So there is no more wind coming out of my fistula. There's no more stool coming out of my fistula. The area looks very, very pink and healthy. You can still see the new tissue forming, but it looks absolutely wonderful. It doesn't hurt at all. Again, I keep repeating myself. Sorry for people who have watched multiple of my videos, but I repeat myself just in case somebody only sees this one video. So again, I've never experienced incontinence before this happened. The fistula, the abscess. I did not experience incontinence to stool at any point during Dr. Bapat's Kshar Sutra treatments, and there were times that I had to hold things in. That was never a problem, and now I am not experiencing incontinence, either to stool or to wind. My bum feels amazing. I can sit on anything. It could be a soft chair, a firm chair, a camel. It doesn't matter. I can sit, I can stand, I can walk, I can run, I can jump, I can live my life. So things are looking great. The only thing that I would say is that sometimes, like the area where the tissue is growing, it feels just a little bit tight. It doesn't hurt, but I can just kind of feel that the tissue is a little bit tight, and I assume that's just because it's new and it needs to do whatever tissue needs to do in order to not feel like that newly grown tissue feeling, when you get a scar somewhere and just the new tissue feels like it needs time before it's as flexible as the rest of the tissue, if that makes any sense. If that's happened to anybody else. But yes, I am just so grateful, so thankful. I am so thankful to my doctor. I can't say enough about him. He is absolutely the only doctor in all of this, and I've seen multiple ER doctors, general surgeon, colorectal surgeon back in Canada. I was back and forth to 2 different hospitals. I've seen walk-in clinics. I've seen so many doctors, so many nurses, so many just medical care professionals. And the only advice that ever made any sense to me throughout all of this was what Dr. Bapat said, right on down to just my last visit with the man, which was, of course, if you have an open wound, then you would need to clean it, which is what the iodine is for. So I guess the only thing I can say is things are absolutely wonderful. As you can see, I'm extremely excited. And my only wish in all of this is that I had been able to link up with Dr. Bapat months and months and months ago, because I am 100% sure if I had I would not have suffered as long as I had. Of course, with as excited as I am, this whole experience has changed me. I think in some ways for the better. For example, when we go home, I will definitely be looking into more vegetarian recipes. I don't think I will 100% give up meat, but I did notice that after eating a vegetarian diet, just my overall health improved. And I don't really feel the need to rush home and go back to my regular old meat and potatoes diet. So I think some of the suggestions that he made to me that I will choose to carry forward in my life from now on will just benefit my overall health. So yeah, very, very grateful for today. I would not wish my fistula journey on myself or anyone, and if you're watching this, it's most likely because you suffer from a fistula as well. So, of course, you have my deepest sympathy for that, because I know exactly just how much you're suffering if you're watching these. But if you are interested in pursuing Kshar Sutra, I would certainly look into it, and I would think that there is a hope and a light at the end of the tunnel. No pun intended.